Jorma Vuoksenmaa, 2 weeks ago, on the last weekend of August, you and the members of your various Colossus Bet syndicates cashed out a total of over 42,000 euros. That consisted of many syndicates, but the common foundation of the success was your expertise in the French football. Luckily, Ligue 1 and the French fixtures are quite regular in the Colossus Bets Pick 15. So let's talk about that a bit. What is your edge based on?
Well, it's not that much different from league to league. Our process is the same. We do very proper pre-season analysis. There we take into consideration of last season, how teams performed, but performed on the X goals meters. We don't care that much how many games they have won or what is the league placing. We just more on the expected goals. And then we compare how teams performed to the expectations, how lucky they were, how unlucky they were. So we get some kind of picture how did they perform last season. Then we adjust the last season performance according to the player transfers, or if there is a change in the coaching staff, or if the team was abnormally lucky or unlucky with injuries last season. So we kind of get a measurement of the team performance of the last season. Then we take a look on the player salaries and the transfer value of the players and the skill level of the coach in order to get kind of picture how good the team should be. So it's a separate thing for the last season adjusted performance. Now we have two things, and then we are humble. The betting market is not stupid. So as a third angle to look the object, we'll take the betting market expectations. After these three, last season adjusted performance, then betting market, and the money talks factor, which I mean, as I said, transfer value and player salaries. We'll have now, after these three factors, kind of very good estimate of a class and level of each team. So our edge is based on good pre-season analysis and then an optimized speed to react when happens in the games played. And again, we don't react to the results, but we react to the expected goals gained and allowed on those games, and slightly to the market, which means that if we take the world market closing prices, and if they differ from our probability estimates, we do not stubbornly believe that our estimates are the right ones and the market has the wrong ones, but we nicely and smoothly adjust slightly our power estimates according to what the market has said with the money, because people are serious when they are betting their money. A long story, but this is such an important fundamental that I needed to tell all this. And think about that, and you have taken a big step forward in your betting hobby or profession if even you start making your power ratings or more intuitive feelings how good or bad the teams are according to those three factors: last season adjusted performance, the monetary value of salaries and transfer market, and for third, the betting market.
Okay, so let's apply those fundamentals to this season. Paris Saint-Germain, they are huge favorites. One could even say that they are better than ever this year.
Yes, the player material seems to be that. We are, I think, pretty good coach team, and the other French top sides have not improved in a sense that they would have moved closer to PSG. So we made some Monte Carlo simulations with our power ratings in French Ligue 1, or whatever it should be pronounced. So we got the championship probability so high for Paris Saint-Germain that I first believe that there is some kind of bug in our simulation, but they simply are so much better than the others that their chance to win the championship is something, 99% with round figures. That being said, now, as you might know, COVID-19 has hit very severely to PSG, and in the opening game against Lens, they surprisingly lost 1-0 away when playing without Mbappé, Di Maria, and Neymar. Who else?
Well, a lot of players.
A lot of good players anyway. So, of course, Ricardo and so on. And now it might sound paradoxal, but if the betting market overreacts to the first round loss, and these missing players or the new ones which might have been carrying corona already, or who might get it. If the market overreacts, we might end up in a very surprising situation where we would find betting value from PSG. And as you know, with those very difficult Colossus Bets pools like Pick 15 or occasionally in Pick 6 correct score there is one French game, you need some big favorites to be able to bet lines which are not over difficult when the pool size of a guarantee sum is taken into consideration. You can't bet all the live underdogs, because then if those individual value bets all hit, the odds for the combination get so long that it's not longer a value bet, a line consisting of 6 value bets, because it's too difficult for full pool. Even if I win the full scoop for full pool, the big pot doesn't compensate very little probability of hitting, right? So that means that occasionally you need good favorites. You might even need an overbet, bad value individual big favorite in order to keep the combination inside the difficulty level, on the right difficultiness degree, right? So long story, but PSG might be a good banker in the Pick 15s and even Pick 8s with wild surprises in other games. It's better to take that kind of very probable big favorite than so-called value favorite which doesn't hit that often. And the betting market occasionally overreacts so much that keep an eye on what kind of prices do you get on PSG if the COVID situation continues, or if they happen to lose or draw a couple of games. But that being said, at the end of the season, PSG is the French champion with a clear margin.
With a clear margin, but to whom? Who's the number 2?
Well, it's pretty close bunch. I'll take here again my power ratings, which are published in the YouTube
The info box
below
this video.
This video. So we have Lyon as a very clear second favorite. Lyon was pretty unlucky last season. They with the goal, when we compared the actual goals scored and allowed with the expected goals to be scored or allowed, Lyon was pretty neutral with their luck. But those bad luck goals came in decisive games. Then those things were scaled to points in the league. Lyon was 12 units unlucky. So Lyon should be better than last season. They are pretty expensive team, and if you look closer, they improved their defense. Earlier, a couple of years ago, Lyon was known as kind of rock and roll team with very good attack, good scoring, and so on. They have now improved their defense. So for all these reasons, Lyon is a clearly best challenger for PSG. Then the next bunch consists of Marseille, Monaco, Lille, and Rennes. And then there is a kind of jump down towards Montpellier. In betting, one needs always think about value. It's not about who do you expect to be second strongest or third strongest, and what kind of power rating or expected points the team is kind of should get. You should always compare how the team is valued and what is the true level of a team. So like Marseille might be slightly overestimated this season because they were pretty lucky last season, and they don't necessarily keep running that well this season. That being said, we have good coach Andre Villas-Boas. We have good player material, and if you compared Marseille with another lucky team from last season, I mean Rennes, Marseille has much better resources, so I rate them higher. But Monaco might be some kind of idea, or at least not a bad value team from these challengers for the Euro places. Some reasons. Monaco has a new coach, Niko Kovac, who has been in charge with Bayern Munich. He is a real quality coach. If I understood, I don't want to be any kind of racist, but quite often in the French football organizations, there's almost some kind of turbulence and chaos and unnecessary scandals and chatting behind the blah blah blah. And Now I have read that Monaco even changed the sports director, and they kind of freshened the whole organization, and that can have a huge impact, not only what kind of players are required, but the psychological things, what kind of working environment the players and the coach get, how will be the media pressures, fan pressures, everything. You know, quite a many intangibles might be on Monaco's favor this year. Then another thing, I forgot to say in the start of a video that I'll have a look. Yeah, the home draw away distribution was something like 47, 25, 27 in the normal matches. And now after COVID, the French League will, at the moment, the information is that they will play for 5,000 spectators, or 50% of the stadium capacity, if the stadium capacity is less than 10,000. So that should mean that there should be some kind of home advantage, but not as big as normally in French League. There the home advantage is pretty big. Normally the fans are pretty loud and they affect a lot to the referees, who are not probably that strong as like in Premier League. So obviously nobody knows how big will be the home advantage this season, but I think the educated guess might be, you know, if there is no home advantage, it would be something like 35, 30, 35. And if there is a full French home advantage, the home team would win something like 48%. So I want to help you with some kind of educated guess, and I base my own calculations when I build up my Colossus bet syndicates and make my Asian handicap betting decisions. I base my decisions in the best possible guess, which is something like 45% home advantage now when we screen this video the Friday, is it 11th of September. So feel free to adjust my figure and make your own opinion, and the home advantage is very team specific as well, so it might be down to 43 with certain teams, up to 47. And now why I remind that home advantage talk, which I forgot from the beginning of this video, was what I was about to say, that Monaco, I've been in their stadium half a dozen times, and for some reason their fans are not as fanatic as in certain other French stadiums, like we don't play any longer in highest level, but those Corsica teams like Ajaccio, they are wild, those fans, and some other southern teams. So now why I am Monaco positive is partly because they don't lose that much of their home support than the limit of 5,000 spectators has been taken into use. And actually Monaco was, have a look, with those 42,000 cash outs, Monaco to win away at Metz was one of those cornerstones, along with Bordeaux, Saint Etienne home win, and Nantes home win against Nimes. So the ideas I mentioned in this video, you know, we tell you what we bet ourselves, and then it's the same in French leagues and it's the same everywhere.
So another team that has been predicted to be somewhere near Monaco is Lille.
Yeah.
What would you say about that?
Well, we were unlucky last season, not that much unlucky, but slightly. And they are kind of team from not very strong economical area. We are not a rich team. We need to sell players all the time. But they compensate that year after year. And Lille is, in my power ratings, we play with number 57. So they are, in my book, almost as strong as Marseille and Monaco. And we cast with Lille with that lucky win 2 weeks ago when we won away at Reims 0-1. So I expect them to be one of those good teams, but I doubt. Well, they might offer a slight value, but it's better that you look and compare the prices and the Colossus betting distributions yourself, and I give those guesses of value teams here in the videos only if I have very good reasons to believe a team will be underbet or overbet, i.e. good value or bad value.
Yeah, so let's concentrate in those teams. What are the value teams?
Value
or
teams,
the overbet teams?
I always already mentioned Monaco. Then Saint Etienne is traditionally a team with kind of academy background team, which gets players to be improved, team with good kind of tradition and an atmosphere. They were extremely unlucky last season, and when they got their act together towards the end of the season, they improved ESBC power rating, and they have kind of the first games what they have shown underlines that we might be on the right with Saint Etienne. I actually watched Saint Etienne Lorient on that good week 2 weeks ago, and in order to make hedge betting and have a look how the game looked like, and we won 2-0 and we might have won more. So I'm definitely Saint Etienne positive, and the betting market doesn't necessarily catch up that fastly. Then Bordeaux, here I had some argument with my employers who claimed that Bordeaux was lucky last season. Well, we were lucky with the X-goals measurements or indicators, but I guess something was happening behind the scenes because the team underperformed to their budgets, and so here is a conflicting information. If you base your calculations on what happened last season, yes, you might say that they were lucky, they should not improve that much, but I speculate with the fact that there was something happening behind the scenes, and Bordeaux has the class and tradition and budgets to be slightly better, and at least their performance 2 weeks ago when they helped us towards those big cash outs, they won away at Angers 0-2, so Bordeaux could be okay. And then finally Nantes, who won in our coupon and who were slightly okay, it looks like we had neutral luck last season, but again, I found them that there would have been capacity for better things. So I'm slightly Nantes positive, but not in that degree as I am positive with Saint Etienne. Yeah.
Other teams,
Well-
maybe some that are overrated.
Yes, Angers and Reims, definitely. And the logical reasons are the same as with these earlier ones.
All right. I think this gives us a pretty good start for the season.
Well, the bottom teams.
The bottom teams.
must be mentioned because in the French football, the home advantages, even with 5,000 spectators, are pretty good. The scoring is lower than, say, in German Bundesliga or Premiership, and the bunch of worst, say like this season, worst ugly 7 to say so, the skill and class differences are pretty low, and that means because they need to be very careful in each games. They are pretty defensive, those lowly rated teams, and because the relegation battle is so tight, they play pretty concentrated and tight and defensively most of the games. So for you, I might give you a pretty good betting strategy to expect Strasbourg, Lens, Lorient, Nimes, Brest, Metz and Dijon to be pretty level teams. Well, Dijon might be, they are my last rated team and they actually might be slightly worse than these others. But in kind of more broader terms, the differences are that big. And as you know, the betting market and the media always overreacts to the very last results, which might mean that then one of these equally bad teams is running bad, or another quite limited team has been lucky. You quite often get good value by betting that team off form against the bad but hot team. So keep in mind that those bottom end teams are pretty equal, and you might be able to snatch value with your race and handicap betting by taking the one who somebody says has a bad form. And when it comes to Colossus bets, big 15s and those correct score things, the long-term idea to the French betting is that the draws are slightly more probable. You should round or circulate the draws in different French games, even have draw bankers in this kind of go around with circulating draws, because they are more probable than the public thinks, and the value of your tickets towards big wins or good cash outs go up strong. Then you get a couple of draws. Well, we got good value even without draws, but we had among those many losing coupons, even the draws. You should build up the tickets by combining different symbols, different degrees of difficultiness, and keep them balanced, and then you fight for big wins in the Colossus Bets pools.
Yes, and especially when you think of the leagues that they have there, Premier League and Championships, they are anyway quite familiar to all of us. Mm-hmm. But the French league is that the league where you find the edge?
Yes, our edge might be biggest, yes, because the opponents' markets, the big betting syndicates, they do not concentrate that much on the French market. And the samurai, the soldier, never underestimates the opponents. But it might be, but because the Colossus bets, bettors, and even the quality captains who build up the syndicates and compete against my syndicates, it might be that they have not studied mathematically as deep the French football. They don't watch that much French football. They don't read the French reports. They don't have the French contacts. So the Colossus bets quality captains might be stronger opponents for us in their home games, Premiership and English Championship, than in French league. So yes, we might have bigger edge in the French league.
That's great. We're looking forward to the next syndicates.
Yeah, absolutely.
Vive la France.
Yeah, vive la France. Thank you. Merci.